Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca, and in this week's video, I'm drawing my OCs into the almost kissing meme. For the past handful of years, I've had the tradition of doing a kind of bigger project for Valentine's Day, like creating visual novel games or animated story times. Most of the time to get these projects done for Valentine's Day, I start working on them in January. However, this year in January, I was working hard to pre-make videos that'll go up once the baby is born, so I didn't have time to work on a Valentine's Day project. When I questioned all of you on what you would like to see for a Valentine's Day special, many of you wanted me to draw some of my OC couples. And while recently on Twitter, I had seen the almost kissing meme format. It was created by number 11 Train on DeviantArt, and I thought it'd be fun to draw my OCs into this. The first couple we'll be drawing is Anne and Aiden from my first finished comic, I Want to Be a Magical Girl. So if you have never read I Want to Be a Magical Girl, I'm technically spoiling that Anne and Aiden become a couple. But like, she is the female lead and he's the male lead. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they will end up together. Also, for all the drawings, I did sketch them off camera. I did this because we'll be going through a lot of drawings, and that means I can't spend a lot of time showing you the process for each one. So to make it so the footage isn't like super hyper speed, I'm only showing you the inking and coloring for each drawing. This drawing is for the right before prompt, so this is supposed to be right before they kiss. In my head, maybe this is Anne and Aiden's first real kiss. So Anne is a bit nervous and it really shows, which is also making Aiden nervous and hesitant. Anne is very outgoing and open with her emotions, whereas Aiden is often more reserved. For all of these, I'll be coloring them in what I call my webcomic style. I fill in the base colors, add some cell shading with muted magenta or muted blue depending on what the base color is, and add some highlights to the hair along with some gradients to the face. It's a quick way to color that is also decently effective. It is very interesting drawing these two in color since I did work on their comic in black and white. I am never really used to seeing them in color. The next panel is not on the lips, so I had to draw a pose where there is a kiss but it's not on the lips. So I drew Anne giving Aiden a kiss on the cheek. This is kind of a reference to a scene in the last chapter of the comic. Also, if you do want to read I Want to Be a Magical Girl, it is available for sale on Amazon. There is a digital version and a physical version. Pre-warning, it was my first ever completed comic, so it's not the greatest. I was only 17 when writing and working on the comic and published it when I was 18. And you know, a part of me feels like I'm too hard on my younger self. I have sisters around that age, and if one of them told me that they fully wrote and illustrated a comic and published it on their own, I'd be like, dang, that's impressive. But you know, since I made it, I'm like kind of proud of myself, but also a bit embarrassed by it because I see all the mistakes and things I want to change. Anyways, it's on Amazon if you want to check it out. I'll put a link to it in the description. This is the interrupted prompt, so I had to draw their kiss being interrupted. The person interrupting them is Aiden's little sister. I actually don't remember her name. Let me check. So her name is Peyton. She's kind of sassy and likes poking into Aiden's business, aka spying on Anne and Aiden. I remember when my husband and I were dating, my younger siblings along with my mom sometimes would spy on us. Since I did live at home with my family, when Josh would come to visit, we'd often spend a lot of time there. We would usually go out for an activity during the day and watch movies on the couch in the family room at night. I remember one time I had like just woken up or something, and one of my younger sisters came up to me and was like, "We caught you kissing on the couch last night." And she thought it was so funny. She was telling me how they crawled across the hallway and peeked their heads around the corner and were watching from upstairs. I later told my mom that she told me, and she was like, "What? She ratted us out? It was supposed to be a secret." The funny part is that Josh and I did hear them, but only as they were trying to walk away from their spying spot. We heard a bunch of pitter-patters above us and we were wondering what was going on. The refused drawing was fun to draw since I got to draw these two of different expressions from their usual. In my head, Anne is annoyed or angry at Aiden, and Aiden is apologizing. I imagine maybe he ate the last donut or something and Anne is pouting about it, which seems really silly, but my husband and I both know how sad it can be when someone eats the last of something that you had your heart set on eating. Like if there's a cookie and you're really looking forward to eating the cookie and you can't wait to eat it, but then it turns out someone else got to it before you, and then you just feel so sad because the thing you're looking forward to is gone. This is actually slightly an issue in our house because Josh and I will sometimes save the last thing for each other. And so the last thing will go a little while without being eaten until one of us specifies that the other person can have it. This isn't for all foods, like he and I both have our kind of own treats that we eat. But if it's like a shared treat, then we try to communicate so there's no disappointment. So yeah, we take our treats very seriously, especially since I am pregnant. When I get my heart set on something, it's like really set on that thing. Also, sorry if I talk about my husband and I a lot in this video. I am drawing couples, so they're going to remind me of scenarios with my husband. For false alarm, I drew Aiden being scared because Anne possibly got hurt while fighting a bad guy or something, but she is okay. And as you can see, this is the first panel where Anne and Aiden are in their hero outfits. I honestly never really liked their hero outfits. I wish I would have put more time into them. I liked them at the time, but yeah, I don't really like them now. Overall, Anne's suit is okay. I feel like I could have put more details into it, or maybe changed up her hairstyle or something. And Aiden's just feels very basic. He's just in a black turtleneck and pants with a yellow mask. And I just now decided the color of his mask. It was just white in the comic, so I never had to make it a color. I made it yellow to kind of relate to his power, and it's also very light in value, so it being white in the comic still makes sense. Also, Aiden has lightning powers, and Anne kind of has generic powers like flight, speed, strength, and so on. For Wrong Atmosphere, we have another superhero situation. I drew them kind of back to back, and they both look a bit intense. I'm thinking maybe they were trying to chase down a villain, but they lost them. Also, can I just say, for some reason, Aiden's hair was so tricky for me when I was sketching out these drawings. I think it's because Aiden's hair is kind of inconsistent in the comic. And so when I go back to reference his hairstyle, I never know which version of his hair to reference. So I tried my best to keep the traits that are somewhat consistent in these newer drawings of him. If I had to describe his hair, it would be kind of a soft emo comb over that is a bit shaggy but also short and spiky in some spots. But yeah, I had to redraw his hair a few times for a lot of these drawings. Also, I feel like it's been a couple weeks since I gave you all a baby update. I'm currently 27 weeks. We are getting closer to that 30-week mark, which I am both excited and nervous for. I'm excited to be closer to meeting the baby, but I also still have a lot of prep work I need to do. I'm kind of waiting to buy items because my mom and sisters plan to throw me a baby shower. And so I don't want to buy a bunch of baby stuff because I might get that kind of stuff as gifts at the shower. But I have gotten the stroller and car seat put together recently. It was a gift from my mother and father-in-law, and I'm super thankful for it. They let us pick the model, and they got us the one that we wanted. Thankfully, it was really easy to put together. I was nervous it was going to be super complicated. Also, this is kind of related, but also kind of not related, but like, what happened to cute baby strollers and car seat colors? Like, when I was young, you could get super cute light pinks and blues, but now, like, everything is black and gray. And I did go with a black and gray one, since if I did want one with a cute color, it was way more expensive or an off-brand that I hadn't heard of. But yeah, if I could have, I would have gotten a baby blue one for our little boy, but that wasn't really an option. Also, it's way easier to find things in pastel pink, but like if you want a boy version of something, it is almost always gray. What happened to cute baby blues or even cute pastel greens? Why do boys only get depressing gray? Okay, rant over. For losing courage, I imagine the scenarios that Anne and Aiden were talking and maybe Aiden like smiles or laughs or something. And this catches Anne off guard and she thinks it's really cute. And so now she can't look him in the eye because she's flustered. Thankfully, Anne is really easy for me to draw, but I do always find it strange seeing her in my newer art style. When I imagine her in my head, I always see her in my old art style, but of course I'm not going to draw her like that now. So now she is more up to date and fits with my current style. So like it looks like her, but at the same time it doesn't really look like her to me. Sometimes I do feel like it'd be fun to work with Anne's universe again, but I have enough OCs and stories I'm trying to juggle, so I probably won't go into that at all. The last drawing is for the prompt "This is good enough." And at first I didn't know what this one meant, but when I searched it, it seems like for this one you draw a form of affection that isn't kissing. So I'm drawing Anne running up to Aiden and giving him a hug from behind. Also in my head, Aiden is sitting and Anne is standing. If Aiden was standing, this pose wouldn't work. This drawing might be my favorite out of the 8 that I drew. Also, I do want to pre-warn that for the next couple, I had to trim down the drawings to 6 because this was taking a very long time. For just the inking and coloring, this took me 3 hours. So if you add in the sketching, it was probably closer to 5. In my head, I was going to shorthand these a bit more or maybe make them a little bit more chibi-like. And I did slightly shorthand them, but they ended up being fairly detailed still. I did want to go quick and make things more simple, but at the same time, I haven't drawn these characters in ages, so I wanted to draw at least kind of nice drawings of them. So yeah, I ended up putting more time into these than I was anticipating. So that's why for the next couple, I do 6 of the drawings instead of 8. The next couple also have more detailed designs, so they also took longer to draw because of that. Anyways, here is the Almost Kissing meme with Anne and Aiden. I added the background effects or colors to each panel, and I did get rid of the heart pattern from the template that I had added because it was making everything feel a bit too busy. It was really fun drawing these two. It's been a couple of years since the last time I drew them, so it was really nice to revisit their characters and draw them interacting again. So the next couple I'm going to be drawing are Esther and Clarence. They run Clear Star Cafe, and it appeared in the visual novel game that I made a while back. Esther does make an appearance in the game. Sadly, Clarence does not. Esther is Samson's older sister, and Clarence is Finley's older brother. Samson and Finley are kind of the 2 main characters for the game. One of the reasons I did choose Anne and Aiden and Esther and Clarence as the couples I would draw in this video is because they both show different stages in a relationship. Anne and Aiden are much younger and have more recently started dating, whereas Esther and Clarence are married. So with Esther and Clarence, there's a feeling of comfort or familiarity between them, like this is a relationship that has had time to grow and mature. So their almost kiss drawing is very different from the other one. They're much more relaxed and not so tense. It's a bit funny looking back to when I first started dating. Doing something like giving a kiss felt so weird and foreign, but now it's much more natural and you often do it without really thinking. I don't want to make it sound like it's no longer special because it is, but like it feels as normal as like breathing, I guess. Is that cheesy? Also, instead of inking and coloring one panel at a time, I'm going to ink all of the drawings and then color all of them. I'm doing things in this way because it will help make the process faster. Plus, like I said, these two have more detailed designs, so I'll have a lot of different colors I'll be using, and it always feels easier to fill in areas all at once because I don't have to keep reselecting the colors for each panel. So it may not be as satisfying to watch because we don't get to see each drawing be completed one at a time, but I needed to try to speed things up a little bit, and this was one way I could do so. For the prompt knot on the lips, I'm drawing Esther giving Clarence a kiss on the forehead. I really wanted to draw a forehead kiss because I always think they are so sweet and cute. I love forehead kisses. However, I learned that I don't really like drawing forehead kisses. Out of all the panels, this one was the biggest pain in the bum, mostly because of trying to get the lips placed correctly, but I was also struggling with drawing Clarence's face at this view. It's definitely not perfect, and I wish I could have done better, but it's passable, so I'll take it. Oh, also, the 2 drawing prompts I cut out to go from 8 to 6 was False Alarm and Losing Courage. For False Alarm, I was thinking of having Esther burn her finger and Clarence is concerned, which was an okay idea, but I didn't like it as much as the rest of the drawings. And I couldn't quite nail down an idea for Losing Courage, so I cut that one out too. And I am very happy I did cut out 2 of the drawings. It made working on this easier and more manageable time-wise. I really loved drawing this panel. It really amused me. I kept debating if I should have Finley be interrupting them or Samson. I went with Samson because the scenario sounded funnier. Esther is annoyed at him for ruining the mood, and Clarence is being bashful. I imagine Esther is more open with affection, whereas Clarence is a bit more private, especially if Esther's family is around. I definitely relate to Esther in this panel. I may have also shot some looks like this at my siblings when Josh and I were dating or engaged. Of course, showing affection around them doesn't feel nearly as strange as it used to. For Refused, the scenario is that Clarence leans in for a kiss, but then Esther notices that he has frosting on his nose. Also, this isn't something I noticed until I started coloring, but I'm kind of sad that I drew so many of the panels with Esther's eyes closed, and when they are open, she is making an annoyed expression. Esther has purple eyes, and for some reason I really love purple eyes, so I was really looking forward to coloring them. But then I noticed I didn't have any panels where I get to color her eyes. Surprisingly, I don't have very many characters with purple eyes. I think Esther, Finley, and Zoe are my only OCs with this eye color. But yeah, I always really like it, so I was looking forward to coloring it, but I didn't get to. Clarence's eyes don't really have a color. I kind of make them a mixture of purple, pink, and teal. The theme behind his design was the word clear. Also, if you do want to see where I first designed Esther and Clarence, you can watch this video. Sometimes I forget their designs were inspired by random prompts and art supplies. I really enjoyed working on the wrong atmosphere drawing, mostly because Samson and Finley make an appearance. They are the ones causing the wrong atmosphere because they are arguing about something. They kind of have opposing personalities, so they kind of tend to get on each other's nerves. But like, they're still like friends and kind of get along. I do really love the Clear Star Cafe crew, and honestly, if I had time, I'd love to make little comic strips about them, or maybe like a short story. We do get to learn a decent amount about Sam and Finn in the visual novel game I made. But I really love the dynamic of also having Esther and Clarence, and they aren't really in the game, so I'd love to get to write about all of them interacting. Oh, and I guess I never mentioned that you can still play the game on itch as well as on my website. I'll try to remember to put links to those in the description. Making video games is always something I really want to dabble in more, and sometimes I have considered making a series on me trying to learn to make a game, but like coding and things like that aren't very fun to watch, so I feel like it'd be kind of boring unless I was showing you other parts of the process. But coding is kind of the longest, biggest, and most tedious part. But knowing me, I would start by trying to make a game in something like RPG Maker or another program with a more visual coding base, because I feel like that would be easier for me to understand. I did really enjoy making the visual novel games, but that format itself is very restrictive, and I feel like it could be cool to make something other than a visual novel. So yeah. And finally we have the This Is Good Enough drawing, and for this one I thought it'd be cute to draw Clarence and Esther in more casual clothes, like maybe they're cuddling on the couch after a long day of work. And I feel like this is the first ever time I've drawn Esther with her hair down. I don't draw characters interacting or posing together very much, so I actually feel like this meme template was a very good exercise for me when it comes to drawing characters that are interacting. Plus it was fun getting to draw cute coupley poses. I did find it a bit funny how few canon couples I actually have. Like, I technically have a lot of characters that are kind of paired together, or like in my head they end up in a relationship eventually. But when it comes to OCs that are actually couples, I don't have that many. Like, I thought maybe it'd be cute to draw a couple from my fairy universe, and then I realized that there aren't currently any canon couples. So now that all the pictures have their line art, I can do the coloring. For this, we have switched to the footage that is captured by Clip Studio Paint. I'm using this footage because my screen recorded footage gets kind of crazy with how much I have to move the canvas around, so this is much easier to watch. Overall, the coloring took me a bit over an hour, I feel like. Filling in all the different colors felt like the most tedious part, along with coloring Clarence's hair. Kind of like his eyes, I use a mixture of colors to kind of give it that clear or holographic vibe. This also kind of helps him look different from his brother Finley, since for Finley, I just shade his hair with purple. Also, I do apologize that I do not include all of Esther's little sparkle hair clips. I was already drawing a lot of characters and details, and I feel like I had to cut that one out for these. Oh, and I decided to change the color of Clarence's ribbon. In his original drawing, it was mostly pink with a kind of mixture of colors, but I felt like that didn't really pop, especially since his vest is already pink. So I changed it to a purple that fades to a pink. And I liked this since it added more balance and contrast to this area, I feel like. And so here are my drawings of Esther and Clarence. It was really great to get to draw them. I haven't drawn them in years, even though I do love them a lot. So this was really fun to do. I do apologize that I didn't get to do a really big project this year like a game or story time, but I hope you still enjoyed this video and learning more about my characters. Like I said, I'll try to put all the links to my book and the game in the description if you want to check them out. Before we end, I want to thank my super awesome YouTube members and Patreon patrons for their support. It means so much to me. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next week in my next video. Bye!